NASCAR Cup Series driver Alex Bowman announced he will no longer be competing in a winged sprint car for the foreseeable future. Not only that, but Flow Racing also confirmed with Bowman that he won't be competing in any dirt racing, including the upcoming Chili Bowl Nationals, which will take place early next month. Bowman's comments come after a violent wreck that saw him fracture a vertebrae in his back. Before we get into this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at John Trent Racing. Before we get to Bowman's comments announcing that he will no longer be competing in a winged sprint car, let's look at what happened during a high-limit sprint car racing event at 34 Raceway back in April. Bowman is in that Ally sprint car on the bottom, and you have Connor Morrell there in that red number 2. The two will eventually collide and go for a violent wreck, multiple flips. We don't really get a good look at Bowman because the camera stays focused on Morrell, but you can see that they both flip multiple times. So let's take a look at this right here. This is over at Flow Racing on X. See, they just kind of hit tires there. Morrell obviously flips end over end. Bowman was flipping sideways, and then he obviously starts flipping end over end. Violent wreck. Let's look at it again here. They're racing really hard. Bang! And then they both go tumbling and spinning down into that corner there, almost halfway through the entire. They almost go halfway through that straightaway. And then following the wreck, this is what Bowman announced back in April. He said, "Last night I was involved in an on-track incident while racing and fractured a vertebra. First, I wanted to let everyone know I'm feeling okay. My focus is now on healing and resting. Being out of the car is never an update any driver wants to make. I'm thankful to Josh Berry and Hendrick Motorsports for stepping up to the plate, and I know the entire Ally Racing team will give it their all these next few weeks." He was indeed out of the car for a number of weeks, which put him behind in the race for a playoff position. So this is what Bowman had to say in a recent interview with SiriusXM NASCAR Radio. Let's take a listen here to what he said about his future in dirt racing, specifically in wing sprint car racing.
10 cup races in the last 2 years for injuries for Ally and Hendrick Motorsports and Chevrolet and everybody that put so much in the 48 program. Like I can't afford to miss more races. You know, I need to be in the car every week, and look at what it did to us this year. We go from, being extremely strong every week and up front in points and all that to a really tough rest of the year. Like I don't need to do that again. So I won't be in a wing sprint car for the foreseeable future. I would say when I'm done cup racing, to be honest with you, I would love to do the Outlaw Tour when I'm done cup racing, but it's just going to be something that I'm going to push off until I'm at that point in my life where it's what I want to do and it's not going to take away from anything else. My job on Sundays is super important to me, and unfortunately this year I was doing something for fun that greatly took away from what I do on Sundays, and I'm going to avoid that going forward.
Was that decision yours and yours alone, or did you get any input from management on that?
Well, it was mine at first. And I made the decision, and then my decision got reinforced by management. But to be honest with you, I had already made that decision on my own. Like, I love sprint car and midget racing, but I love the mechanical side of sprint car and midget racing just as much as I loved the challenge of trying to figure out how to drive a wing sprint car, right? Like, I love building cars and being on the crew chief side of things and being on the mechanical side of things too. So I'll still be around it. I think ABR will probably scale back a little bit this year. We're not going to run the 40 race schedule that we ran last year. Even after I got hurt, those guys kept going up and down the road with a couple different guys behind the wheel. And, this year we're going to scale back, and I'll probably just go race with my friends here and there. But, I mean, I'll get back to it someday, but the decision, it was definitely mine, but reinforced by smarter people than me.
So that is what Alex Bowman had to say. He clearly is going to not be racing in a wing sprint car for the foreseeable future. Probably won't be racing until he retires from the NASCAR Cup Series, whenever that happens to be. It looks like he has a long career ahead of him, so it could be another 20, 30 years from now. We'll see. Maybe 30 might be a little bit too much, but definitely could be another 20 years before he gets into it. Obviously, he does say that he wants to compete in the World of Outlaws Tour. Interestingly, he also is saying he's going to be scaling back his Alex Bowman Racing. So with him not competing, it looks like the entire team is going to be scaling back as well. And it's not just wing sprint cars. We had this over at flowracing.com. They confirmed, we can read this here. Bowman confirmed to Flow Racing that he's not just putting a pause on his sprint car racing, but all dirt racing, including racing a midget at the Chili Bowl Nationals next month. They do note that Alex Bowman Racing will still be fielding 3 cars for the Chili Bowl Nationals right now. Jake Swanson and CJ Leary are going to be racing the 55A and 55V cars respectively, and there is currently a to be announced car for that third entry, the 55X. So we'll see when they announce that who will be racing, but it also looks like he's going to be scaling back his Alex Bowman Racing wing sprint car and midget competition as well, not racing as many given the fact that he won't be racing. So that is interesting. I think it makes sense, especially that they want him in the car. He has the sponsorships that he lives up to. I think it sucks kind of for fans because I think him is a big draw to a lot of these tracks. He brings a top car, usually for the most part. He has top competitors in his cars, so we won't be getting that competition in the wing sprint car and in the midget racing. So that is unfortunate, but I get it. It makes sense. But let me know what you guys make of this. What do you think of Alex Bowman basically saying he will no longer be dirt racing until he has retired from the NASCAR Cup Series? Let me know in the comments below.